Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarah Wisted. Today's video I'm so excited to share. This video is going to be a two-part video. The first part of this video I'm going to be sharing with you some, I guess, concepts of different like landscape design ideas to help you achieve a modern, minimal, organic backyard space. If you've been following me a little bit now, then you'll know that I really like things pretty minimal and then pretty modern as well. But I've been leaning towards more of like an organic, kind of like lived in feel as well. So we are trying to achieve a similar situation in our backyard. And so I've done a ton of research lately on backyard spaces, and I basically have like come up with a list of things that I just feel like I'm really drawn to, different concepts in the backyard that I figured I'd go ahead and share with you guys, kind of like what I found. If you have a similar vision that you're trying to execute, maybe this video can be a little bit helpful. And of course, it's just us chatting, so it's nothing too formal. I am not a professional designer by any means. This is just kind of my opinion based on what I found during some research that I was doing for my own personal backyard. So I'm gonna share that list first. In the second part of the video, I am going to be sharing with you our plan for our backyard, so exactly what we're gonna be putting into our backyard space. We did work with a landscape architect on this, so it's a fully fleshed out plan with literally to the detail and to like the degree on the space. It's like how it's like laid out. It's like super detailed. So I'll share that with you as well. I'm super excited to get started on that, but that's for a full nother day because it's taking so long. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some of these concepts that I have found to help you achieve a modern, minimal backyard space. So it's funny, like when I was starting to work with our landscape architect, it was very hard for me to explain to him kind of like what my vision was in the backyard. I put together these decks of like pictures and I was like writing out words like minimalism and like it's like super embarrassing, but I was like, I have to like clearly define what I'm looking for. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because as I was going through the different like pictures I was putting in there, I found a few concepts that I thought kind of was like an overarching theme to like the backyard space. So that's kind of like where this list came from. So the first concept that I had found to achieve a modern, minimal, organic backyard space is to hide the fence. And what I mean by hide the fence, I feel like fences are just not pretty. Not visually attractive, not something that I want to look at. It's a lot of lines, it tends to be. It's a lot of just like distracting things that your eye has to look at. So in terms of like a minimalistic viewpoint on a backyard, if you can take away some of that distraction, it'll make it more calming and feel more minimal back there. And I feel like the fence is like a huge one for me. Like I do not want to see the fence, and I like kept saying that in my design consultations. So my two solutions for not seeing your fence are to cover it with some sort of living something. And we're gonna do ivy in part of it to cover part of our fence, but I would say the easiest way to do that is to create a living fence. So create like hedges or bushes. This does take time. This is not something that's gonna grow in overnight. It probably takes, he said 2 to 3 years is like the minimum before you can like cover the fence. And it may take longer in some areas depending on where you are. So it's not an easy one to fix, but like if you are if that's really important to you like it is to me, that was like kind of one of the main themes of our plan, was just to like cover the fence at all costs. We are using ivy to cover some of our fence, and I know that ivy is a very taboo, I guess, I don't know if that's the right word, topic when it comes to like covering something, because you either love ivy or hate it, because it is one of those invasive plants, depending on which ivy you get, that you have to like really watch out for so that it doesn't just go all over the place. I did a full research on ivy before this video because I was like, I have to understand what I'm talking about before I mention it. So the ivy that we're planting on our fence that you'll see like over in the courtyard area, we're gonna do star jasmine. That one doesn't seem to be as invasive and it's a little bit easier to maintain. The other ivy that we're gonna be planting in our backyard is it's called the creeping fig, and that can be invasive. So if you're gonna plant that, you have to really be committed to the fact that you have to maintain it, make sure it doesn't get overgrown, make sure it doesn't go crazy, because apparently that is a pain if you put it in and decide you don't want it one day, because it just ruins whatever surface it's on. So that's for another day. The next concept that I was really, really big on, and it's gonna drive me crazy for a minute, is hide the mulch. And when I say hide the mulch, I just feel like when you drive by houses that you see a ton of mulch space or a ton of pine straw space, it just looks messy to me. I don't know what the deal is, because I know mulch is like a super normal thing to do. In fact, you have to put it there, and it's meant to put there to actually make your bedding look better. But I just don't love the look of mulch. I don't know what it is. So I wanna hide the mulch. So what we're gonna end up doing is plant these bushes that can grow in and kind of grow over the mulch so that it touches the grass or whatever the ground cover is over it. So hopefully you won't be able to see the mulch at all. Now, this is definitely another one of those, I guess, concepts that are gonna take some time. Like when we initially plant our landscaping back there, it is not gonna be filled in and you're gonna see the mulch for a few years. Like I just have to come to grips with that fact. But hopefully one day everything will grow in and it'll feel nice and beautiful and full and lush and lived in. Okay, so concept number 3. I don't really know how to explain this as a concept, but if your retaining walls are gonna be seen, I would go with stucco, a minimal stone, or just cover it in ivy, which is that creeping fig ivy that I mentioned earlier. Starting with stucco, I think we are gonna do stucco in our backyard. I feel like stucco or plaster, for example, just looks really smooth and seamless, and it kind of feels like I said, like more organic, and it just looks a little bit, in my opinion, cleaner than some of the other ones. Of course, you can do a really beautiful stone, like a travertine or something, maybe not as expensive, but stone, like beautiful stone like that can get very expensive. Stucco is also a little bit on the higher price tag sign. It is not anywhere near this like stone structure that I'm referring to. So I think those can both be really beautiful like retaining walls. However, if you are trying to go the cost-effective route, you could also put just like whatever retaining wall they put up and then cover it in creeping fig ivy, which again, that's gonna be, it'll look beautiful if you maintain it. If you don't maintain it, it will be a huge pain in your butt. So you just have to either commit to a high maintenance ivy wall, or you do either stone or stucco, because I feel like all the other options out there, I just could not stand, you guys. Like the first contractor we got out here to look at the retaining wall situation, he was like, you're gonna need all these retaining walls. I don't recommend doing anything expensive because then the price tag will be crazy. And he was offering these like stacked, it's almost like concrete blocks, but they were like not cute and they were so terrible. And I was like, I literally would rather have nothing back there than to see that every time I walk outside. The next concept that I had found in creating a modern, minimal, organic backyard is to avoid too many straight lines. So what I mean by this, sometimes when you overdo the right angles and overdo the straight lines and overdo some of the like design aspects or like landscape details, like to make it like too perfect, you know what I mean? Like too perfectly angled, your backyard can start to look a little bit commercial. And if you want it to look like that, great. That's totally your style and do whatever you want to your backyard. But like, I've just noticed some of these backyard spaces that are like reveals of these brand new build houses and everything is just too perfect. It like looks like a rendering that was taken out of like a Target catalog. And I feel like this is a tip that I bring into like all of my home decor videos. It's like if something is too perfect or it's too commercial, it's just like not elevated and it doesn't feel exciting, I guess. So I would just make sure that you add a little bit of differentiation in there. The next concept to help you achieve a modern, minimal backyard space is in your landscaping. I don't know anything about landscaping, but I know what I like when I see it. So that's when I did a ton of research and I actually watched a ton of videos on YouTube with the local project. Some of the backyard spaces, it's all very super minimal modern, a little bit contemporary. And what I had noticed in the local project and a lot of the research I was doing on Pinterest is most of these places didn't have plants that flowered, or how do I explain this? Like the blooming, how do I explain this? Like it was mostly just like lived in greenery, and it looked kind of like randomly placed, but it wasn't randomly placed. It all looked clean and kept and put together, but it wasn't a lot of like groups of flowers. So I just noticed it was a lot of like lived in greenery type look. Those are the concepts that I kind of wanted to share with you guys. Let me know if you agree with them or if you don't agree with them. I always love to know, you know, I'm not always right. This is just my opinion on certain things that also may change down the road, who knows, but this is how I feel today. I just want to quickly show you guys our finished product of our backyard space. Okay, I wanted to show you guys the proposal decks that I sent over first, and then I'll show you what we ended up with after that. But I literally have like, at the beginning, I just have like a vibe that I'm trying to achieve in this backyard, which is lots of greenery, lots of just like lived in, it's just like a lived in feel, but even like the pavers, the concrete, everything you see here is like lighter and more of like one tone or tone on tone. It's kind of like the vibe that I was hoping to achieve in the backyard. So the first slide I put the feel, or just like the words that that come to mind when I think about a backyard that I was looking for. And it's minimal, modern, clean, balanced, symmetrical, seamless, unique, which I had 2 asterisks next to because what I wanted to avoid was that commercial feeling. And then architectural character, which kind of ties into that. And then I did say Rosemary Alice Beach, but that's more so because I really loved the like plaster and like the feel of that like Roman clay almost feeling. I think that looks really, really beautiful, so that's why I added that there. The colors, of course, creamy whites. I am not on the bandwagon of a bright white anymore. I really lean towards creamy whites, lots of greenery, tone on tone. And definitely to avoid high contrast, so stark whites and deep blacks, clutter, patterns, lots of colors, seeing the fence, seeing mulch, pine straw, and brick. I know brick is interesting because my house is actually brick, and we do plan to paint it like a warm tone white. I would love to change the exterior material of our house and maybe do like a stucco house that's just like a creamy white. But that is just a really unnecessary expense. So for the time being, we're just gonna paint the brick, but I just didn't wanna include brick. For example, he had proposed doing brick retaining walls, and I just like didn't love the thought of that. So then moving on, irregularly shaped stone. I can't say that word, I do this every time. Irregularly shaped stone. I wanted it to be more like symmetrical shaped stone, especially on the pavers and the floors. I wanted to avoid anything rustic or farmhouse and anything too boxy or characterless. I feel like I'm like presenting this to you guys right now, so hopefully this is interesting. For the pavers, I wanted them to be off-white warm tone. They don't have to be large format, but I was just saying that I like the look of the large format tiles. I definitely wanted it to be placed up against the house with no gaps, just because I feel like that looks more clean. We said the retaining walls, white stucco, squared off or similar. And when I say white, I wanted the white to match the house white, so it was all tone on tone. And hopefully the pavers on the floor also have that same like warm toned white within them. So we'll see how that turns out, but that's kind of like my vision. I just wanted it to be like a blank space, if you will, a blank canvas. The courtyard, again, lots of greenery, lots of tone on tone. Really pretty much self-explanatory here. And then outdoor kitchen, this is definitely going to be in the future phase. This will not be anytime soon, but just something that felt very like modern, something very clean looking, tone on tone, no cabinet hardware. What else? I don't know, I think that's about it. Could you imagine working for me? Like, I feel like he absolutely hated me. Anyway, I think we got there, so that's good. So this was the cover photo for the second revision that we went through, like the second round of revision. This first is a screenshot from the local project, and this is what I'm saying. Lots of like lived in greenery where it's just like filled in, but it looks kind of like kept but unkept at the same time. I wanted it to just be more like lived in greenery. I did want to point out that this brick wall, that is creeping fig ivy. So that's the ivy that you have to really be on it to maintain, but it is just so stunningly beautiful if you're willing to keep up with that. These images I just shared with him. This is kind of like the types of bushes that I really wanted in the backyard, but I just really liked kind of like the lived in, not too perfectly trimmed, but not too overgrown look, which he did mention is a lot of how you landscape it. So he's like, you can use like pruning shears versus like the actual, like, I don't know what you call these tools, you guys. Like this is, I'm not a professional at this, but the tools, you know, that you can like round and shape things, instead of using those, you just use like the clippers, which I could do. I mean, I could go out and do that. Now, will I do it? I don't know. So for the grass and landscape area, I wanted him to do something that was like lived in, but like also very clean looking, because I just picture having a lot of events back there, and I want to have like a very blank canvas space to like be able to host parties and like do things for my family and friends. And I feel like, I don't know, it just, you guys know this, like blank space just brings me a piece of calm, and so I wanted to have like a blank space of greenery out in the backyard, which I think would be really stunning. So we're trying to achieve this in like a very specific section of this backyard. So we'll see if we can get there, but this is kind of like where my mind went in that space. Some more grass area, like landscaping. I put wispy and modern, a repetition of bushes that ties into the playset area. I know some of these concepts don't make sense, like playset area and grass area, because I haven't showed you our backyard landscape yet. But I essentially just want him, architect, to see, like, I wanted it all to tie in together, but I kind of wanted that space to be more minimal versus like the space that we have where we're gonna have more like bushes planted. So the playset landscape, we're calling it a playset area only because we will probably put a playset there for our kids. But it's gonna be a space where one day we hope to turn into like a fire pit area, or like some sort of seating area like you see in this picture. And I really loved, it's gonna be like a carved out space that will have retaining walls, but these retaining walls won't be stucco. I think we're just gonna do some like cheaper material there and cover that with the creeping fig ivy. So that's where we're gonna put creeping fig. And then behind the wall, or like the, behind the retaining wall, I liked how these bushes kind of like felt lived in, and just, I don't know, it just feels really like relaxing over there, just kind of like peaceful and private. So I think that's pretty much what we were looking for in that area. Patio steps, we showed him this because in our backyard space, we have kind of like a awkward door that comes out of our house onto the patio. And we used to have, it used to be a deck. So the deck was up where the door meets the threshold. So it was like, there was no step down. But if we're gonna do a patio, which is not wood, it wouldn't reach the height of the door threshold. So we would have to have a step down. And the issue with that is one day we hope to turn different windows into doors, which I'll show you in a bit. And we don't wanna ruin our chance to be able to do that if we wanna do that. So instead we're gonna wrap around the stairs like you see it here. This image is from Lulu in Georgia, by the way. They had this like patio that had these stairs that kind of wrapped around the entire house. That's what we're gonna try and accomplish in our patio space as well, which does kind of take away some of the space, but I think long-term it'll make the most sense in that area. Oh, statement tree. I've been calling it a statement tree. I feel like people like laugh at me. My husband was like, yeah, that's what you call it, right? The statement tree. And I was like, well, I just called it that, and so that's what we've been calling it, but I don't know if that's what everybody calls it. But we did want to have like one statement tree in our backyard, and our architect suggested a Japanese maple, which is this one on the right. We're not talking about the red short ones. Those are beautiful as well, but we wanted something that was like grand and kind of tall and like kind of fills in the space. And I really wanted it to be green. As you guys know, I didn't really want like a red hue in the backyard. But the great thing about this Japanese maple is in the fall, it apparently turns really, really beautiful colors in the fall. So it'll be like orange or red or whatever colors that the leaves turn. So I'm pretty sure it's green most of the time. It probably doesn't have leaves some of the time. But when it turns the fall, then we get to have those beautiful like fall colors, which I think will be so fun in the backyard, especially with kids, because I don't know, I just feel like that tree kind of like signifies the start of fall, or you know, whatever. So we're looking into that tree. I think they might be kind of expensive, I have no idea. So we're gonna I'll share with you guys, of course, what we end up putting in. That was it for my 2 decks. How embarrassing am I? So to get back to our actual plan, which I'm so excited to share with you, let me screen record this. Okay, so I'm gonna try and get in close. So I think you can see this, but essentially he has, like, this is like the major pro of hiring a landscape architect, is he made us think about literally every single detail of what we wanted in this backyard before we even like had to put it in. So now we know exactly like what's gonna be back there at some point. And like I mentioned, we will not do all of this right away. This is like way too big of a project for us to take on right now financially. So I think we will do it in phases. But my main goal, and this has been my goal since we moved into this house, is I just want an outdoor space with a patch of grass that's flat that Shay and any of our kids can enjoy and like play and run and be a kid in. That's like literally all I've wanted. We have been saving money. We like haven't done anything. We haven't even been traveling. I'm like, all of that is gonna go back there. I know traveling is important too, but we just don't have that right now. And it's like, Taylor and I love being outside so much. It's like actually getting to me. So that is our major focus and major driver currently. So I'm hoping to have like some sort of progress on this. We're thinking maybe in the spring, but it could be as early as the fall depending on what happens, but definitely by the spring. I'm manifesting that. So if you see in this landscape plan, our house of course is right down here. If you look towards the left, this is gonna be on the left side of our house is the courtyard area that I keep referring to, but I wanna show you guys kind of the backyard landscape first, so I'm gonna zoom in. So the first thing I wanna mention is, at first I wanted this entire backyard where it says zoysia or Bermuda sod, I wanted this entire thing to be flat. And if you can see right here, it's kind of curved, and where there's bushes here on the right side, and there's a slope down. He did that, and we didn't even think to do this. This is another reason why it's great to hire a landscape architect. But he said just doing that and not making this entire level flat, he said saved us like $8,000. Wow, like that is insane to me. Like we thought we wanted this whole thing flat, and everyone else who had come out here to quote it was like, okay, we'll just do it flat. And they didn't really like provide any sort of guidance. Like, you probably don't want to do that because it makes more sense to do this. And that's what he did for us, which I think was really amazing. So we have kind of like it's a pretty big space, but it's gonna be kind of like a rounded area, which again adds a little bit of interest, and it saves us a ton of money, which is awesome. He did a lot of different greenery, like living fence situation on the side. We do live on kind of a busy street, so another important feature for us is to have like a privacy screen, but also to block out the noise from the street. I don't really want to go into too much detail because I realize this is probably not necessary for most of you guys, but I'm just excited to share it because you guys are my friends and I love sharing things like this. If you go down here, this is the patio I was talking about with the stairs that wrap around. There's a fireplace. I wonder if I can write on this. I can. There's a fireplace right here, and we had hoped to turn these two these are 2 windows. We hope to turn those into doors one day, but currently our door is right here. So what that means is we have a door right here to our bedroom. So what that means is we wouldn't have been able to turn these 2 windows into doors if we only had stairs down from each side of these doors that are currently here. And it would have blocked that space anyway, so I just asked him to just wrap them around, and he agreed. He thought that was, you know, that made sense. Moving back around, this space right here is what we're calling the playset area, and if you look at it, like this would be a retaining wall, and that's what we're gonna use as like a just cheaper material, and we're gonna cover that with creeping fig ivy, and then we would have the playset in this area, which would be so nice. And the reason that he did that is because the courtyard is right here, and he wanted to have some sort of like privacy, because that'll be built up kind of taller area right there to kind of block the little courtyard, so that when you walk in it does feel like more private, and it's just kind of its own little space, which again we never would have thought of. So it was kind of nice that he gave us that option. So this is what I mean by like needing a professional to help me, because like I literally don't know what I don't know, and he helped us make it more interesting versus like too boring out there, I guess. This is where we're gonna probably do the statement tree. So that Japanese maple will probably go right there whenever we decide. And then this is the courtyard. I do wanna like slowly mention that this courtyard where you see like the diamond scoring, it is supposed to be like that. Like he intended it to be a diamond like that, but I just want you guys to know that I do not love a diamond score. And the reason it's diamond here is because if you can see, this retaining wall right here is going to be, it's not perfectly parallel to the house right here. So if we were to do the scores this way, apparently as the closer you get to the retaining wall right here, some of the pieces could break off because like the score isn't perfectly like, it's just like too small of a piece, if that makes sense. So that's why he did them diamond. But I've already told Taylor, like if we're gonna spend this money to put concrete and put it in the backyard, we're not doing a diamond score. So it's like, I'd rather wait and do that part later, because I don't want a diamond score. I know that's like such a weird thing, but like I feel like a diamond score just looks kind of formal, I think is the right word. Like it's not ugly, it's just like, I just feel like it makes it feel more formal and less modern. I don't know where I'm going with that. I think it's just a me thing, that maybe I just don't like the diamond scoring, so hopefully we can avoid that. I ideally would actually like to use whatever material that we have in the patio right here. Ooh, hold on. Ideally, what I would like to do is use whatever we have in the patio right here and just like extend it over here. Like just have the same like pavers that we use there, extend it all the way over. Okay, so then if you come over here, we did look at adding our outdoor kitchen will be here. I think we're gonna add double doors out from the kitchen here, because this is the kitchen in this area and this is where our kitchen table is currently. So we're gonna add that. So I think that will be kind of cool. And then I'll quickly go through the rest, because I feel like this is starting to become very much about me, not helpful for you guys. But we did put a garden in here, so we'll have 2 garden beds and we'll be able to plant in there, which will be really cool. And then the front of the house, we've just added like a walkway and then some greenery, which is kind of cool. Oh, there's stairs here. I didn't even mention, we hope to have these like stairs also match the same type of material as the patio. So that's pretty much it. All right, yeah, so that was my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it got kind of lengthy towards the end there, but hopefully it was helpful for you guys. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite part of this video was, or what you're excited to look forward to, or if there's any questions or anything you want to see from me. Just let's chat in the comments below is basically what I'm trying to say. But if you did like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. And I'm sure I will talk to you guys on my next video.